It can be argued that every murderer is relatively sadistic, but there is one in particular that was so bad he served as the inspiration for some of Hollywood's most horrifying murderers, such as Buffalo Bill, Norman Bates, and Leatherface. This is the first installment of a new series here at Fact Generation, where we tell the story of the most terrifying serial killers of all time. Make sure to watch till the end of the video to find out how to have your say in the list, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Ed Gein's early life and his first murder. Ed Gein, otherwise known as the Butcher of Plainfield, was always a little bit off. His teachers and classmates at his elementary school recall him being shy, but having strange mannerisms such as bursting out into fits of laughter, apparently at his own internal monologue. His school blamed his mother, who punished him when he tried to make friends. Because of that, for the most part, his childhood was relatively solitary. Aside from penalizing his social life, his mother would confine Ed and his brother Henry to their farm. She would often read to them from the Bible and preach that the world was inherently evil, that all women were prostitutes, and that drinking and immorality were the instruments of the devil. When Gein was 38 years old, he and Henry were working in the fields on their farm. They were burning away marsh vegetation, a common practice. When the fire got out of hand and spread, the fire department needed to be called. After the firefighters had come and gone, the fire was dealt with, and Ed reported his brother missing. That night, his body was found face down in the marsh, dead from asphyxiation. At first, the fire was blamed, though authorities soon realized that Henry had been dead before the fire got out of hand, and that he had bruises on his head. Authorities suspected that Ed had killed his brother, though there wasn't any sufficient evidence to prove it, so they were forced to accept that his death had been an accident. Later investigators would claim that there was no doubt that Ed had been the murderer. Ed Gein's slow spiral into psychopathy after the death of his mother. After his brother's death, he and his mother were alone on the farm for some time, and on December 29, 1945, at the age of 67, his mother passed away from health complications after having a second stroke. Her death devastated Ed and sent him off the edge into the pits of psychopathy. In the words of author Harold Schechter, he had lost his only friend and his one true love. He was absolutely alone in the world. Ed Gein then proceeded to renovate his farmhouse. However, rather than turning it into a more useful home for one, he boarded up every room that had been used by his mother, and instead moved into a single bedroom off of the kitchen. While the boarded up parts of the house remained pristine, the rest of the rooms began to deteriorate, as Gein was lax about upkeep. While living in seclusion on his farm, Gein became interested in death cult magazines and Nazi cannibal adventure stories. However, as decrepit as he had become, he mostly kept to himself. Then in November 1957, a local hardware store owner disappeared. Bernice Warden had last been seen the previous night, and had been reported missing after her hardware store remained closed all day. Her son Frank, who happened to be the deputy sheriff, entered the store and discovered the cash register open and bloodstains on the floor. While interviewing Frank, investigators found out that Gein had been in the store the previous night and had told Warden he would be back in the morning for a gallon of antifreeze. Sure enough, the last sale made at the store by Bernice Warden was for a gallon of antifreeze. Investigators headed to Ed Gein's home, arresting him and searching the property. Ed Gein, the human craftsman. They had been prepared to find Bernice Warden's body on the farm, however nothing could prepare the police for what they saw inside. While searching the house, authorities found what would later inspire horror movies such as Silence of the Lambs, Psycho, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There were countless bones, both whole and fragmented, skulls impaled on his bedposts, and bowls and kitchen utensils made from skulls. Worse than the bones, however, were the household items made from human skin. Authorities found chairs upholstered in human skin, a waste bucket made of skin, leggings made from human leg skin, masks made from faces, a belt made from nipples, a pair of lips being used as a window shade drawstring, a corset made out of a female torso, and a lampshade made out of a human face. Along with the skin items, police found various dismembered body parts, including fingernails, 4 noses, and the genitals of 9 different women. Bernice Warden's body was found as well, decapitated. Her head had been hung in a burlap sack, and her heart was hanging in a plastic bag near the stove. Her body had been strung up upside down and gutted like a deer. Police also found the remains of another woman, Mary Hogan, equally dismembered. When questioned, Ed Gein folded immediately. He told the police that he'd made at least 40 different visits to 3 local graveyards to exhume bodies. He claimed he had done so in a dazed-like state. In addition to his methods, Gein also revealed his motives. He told authorities that soon after his mother's death, he'd begun to create a woman's suit so that he could literally become his mother and crawl into her skin. Though there were parts of countless bodies found in his home, Gein was arraigned for only one murder count, Bernice Warden's. Ed Gein pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity and was declared unfit to stand trial. He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, where he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was retried once after doctors believed he could participate in the trial, but again was declared mentally insane. He was confined to spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital and died as one of the most disturbing serial killers of all time at the Mendota Mental Health Institute at the age of 77 on July 26, 1984. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. This will be an ongoing series where we break down the stories of some of the most twisted serial killers of all time. Comment down below who you think would fit on this list so we don't miss a psycho. And make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode here at Fact Generation.